Hello, Miss G, and thank you for letting me observe your class.
You're welcome.
And watch the video of your classroom. Read 180 class, right?
Actually, it's System 44, so they're lower than a Read 180.
Okay, and give us a little background about a Read 180 so we can have Read 180 System 44 so we can have a clear current reality.
So my classroom is it's a classroom for reluctant readers who are significantly below grade level. The class that you observed was a 6th grade class that's primarily reading on a 2nd grade level.
Wow, okay.
So they're far behind. A System 44 class is basic phonemic awareness. So there's a lot of that incorporated into not only their small group lessons at the back table with me, but also when they're at the software rotation.
Okay. So we watched from this video mainly the small group rotation review, and was the review of what they had done during their software portion or what was coming?
It was not part of their software. While they do get those phonemic skills built into their software, the portion that I really struggled with was just a review. It was supposed to be a quick drill before we got into the new workshop. So we were reviewing long vowels, short vowels, and while it's something that they're taught on the software, it's not something I explicitly teach to them in the small group setting. So I just wanted to see where they were and gauge their level of ability. And the reason I scored myself so poorly is because they knew the vowels, they could not identify long and short vowel sounds. So I had a word bank, and they were to categorize them or call out words that were examples of long and short vowel sounds, and they were totally unable to do that. So what should have been a 30 to 60-second review ended up going almost 5 minutes.
Okay.
So then we picked up and we did that for the next 3 days until they were more concrete.
So even though the students were, they were engaged or appeared to be engaged, they seemed to be respectful. The low levels that you're describing to me explains some of the kind of lack of interactiveness and the lack of, them wanting to, kind of engage in that lesson, because obviously from what you're saying, they're not secure with what you were doing. So,
Right,
okay.
right. Everyone was frustrated.
Okay, so it's safe to say that the current reality of your class is that what you should be teaching, you're having to drop it down lower than even what kind of they're working in the software?
Correct.
Okay. All right, well, that gives us a good idea of the current reality of what's going on in your classroom. All right, Ms. G, we're going to now pick up and look at some of the identifying factors that we watched in your video and that you covered in your class. And I'm going to ask you some questions, and I'm just going to ask you to expand on those and give me some information about, kind of where you want your students to be versus where they are now. So on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being the worst lesson you've ever taught and 10 being the best lesson you've ever taught, I think we covered that in a little bit of our current reality, but if you would just kind of quickly describe that to me.
I think the lesson as a whole, the lesson that's provided by Read 180 or System 44 in their case, the lesson went very well. The students were able to stay engaged. They were able to follow the prompts of tap reading. It was just the review that
kind of bogged you down.
It bogged everyone down. So I would give the review portion a 1. It was horrible. But the lesson itself overall, I would give it about a 5, considering who we're working with.
Okay. All right. Well, and you kind of answered there. Were you pleased with the lesson? Now, if you had to go back and do it again, what would you change to move that lesson to a 10? Whether it be the review portion or the main portion. Like you said, during the interactive, where they were watching the anchor video and where they were tap reading, they were engaged during that part. But what could you maybe do to get them engaged from the beginning with that review?
Well, I think with the review, what I did was I was working on the whiteboard, and I had the long vowel side and the short vowel
Yes.
side. I think what I probably could do is maybe incorporate the whiteboard more, and maybe have an interactive where the children could drag and drop, and not so much static learning and drill and kill, but have them involved in some
So a more
activity, a more
interactive.
tactile,
Mhm.
interactive
Okay.
review. I think that would be better for them.
Okay, and you've told us kind of what that would look like, them
Mhm.
being able to interact with it. Do you think that that as far as measuring that change, obviously that would just be more repetition and you doing it on, daily, doing it,
Mhm.
every other day, by week, during the week, however you would do that. But do you think that that you could maybe, especially when the students have more technology at their hands, would that be something that maybe they could have available to them on their Chromebooks? Like maybe some kind of interactive
Even
software.
a game.
A game, okay, so a game. So, and that might be easier to measure, kind of if they're getting it, something that's different than the software portion that you use on a daily basis.
Right.
Okay, all right. Um, as far as as far as that, as far as the phonemic awareness, excuse me, do you want that to kind of be a part of your goal with this group, or do you have something else that you would like to see be a goal for this group or this specific?
Well, this little group of kiddos, I mean, they've got to have that basic foundation. So without that phonemic awareness, they have nowhere to build with their reading. So that's imperative.
Okay.
But like we talked about the interactive board, using that, maybe finding other ways to incorporate technology into the lessons that don't replicate what they're doing already in the software, is something that might be exciting and new for them. Something unique.
Do you, and not to do give too many suggestions here, because I definitely want to, and I'm not as familiar with them as you guys are, but your new boards, the MyView boards.
Right.
I wonder if there's some kind of interactive software for phonemic awareness that we could look into for
I don't
that
know.
group of students.
I haven't looked at that yet.
And if that was something that we could access, whether it be through the interactive boards, whether it be through Chromebooks,
Like a Promethean kind of lesson?
yeah, something
Okay.
that would be almost kind of like a flip chart. I'm just kind of thinking about something that they could go up there and maybe, versus being on the whiteboard that you write on, that they can kind of, have a stylus and pick and drag, might be something that would be more engaging to
Right.
them. So, and if that was the case, that could help you to hit your goal, would that be something that really mattered to you? Would that be
Well, of
something that
course.
you would be interested in?
Yes.
Okay. What would maybe be some teaching strategies, we've kind of touched on them, that you could do to hit that goal? Now that we've kind of thrown all this stuff out there, what would be some of the teaching strategies that you could use to really kind of hone in on that goal that you'd like to see with those kids with the phonemic awareness?
I'm going to say repeated practice. Repeated repetition in just putting that information in front of them. Because when they're on the software, while I get data reports on what they're doing, I'm not actually working with them one-on-one. And I think that's what shocked me when we did that, was supposed to be the quick review, is even though they're plugging away on the computers during the software segment, I'm not getting confirmation that that's working for them.
Or that it's extending past what they're doing on the software.
Right.
Some kind of extension activity that helps them outside of just, like you said, your data reports.
And that's
So,
something that they could even do during their independent, just a quick little review as they move into independent reading.
Yeah, no, that's.
Or conferencing.
Some kind of conferencing. So, okay. Now, those all sound like some great strategies to reach that goal. And in thinking about that, we're going to think about your next steps and maybe identifying a SMART goal that maybe we can pull in some technology uses to integrate it more so that the students can be interactive and you can kind of see them one-on-one moving in the right direction. Okay, Miss G, we're going to get ready to wrap up our Identify coaching lesson. And we've talked about a lot of questions. We've answered a lot of questions. We've talked about a lot of stuff. So now we want to narrow it down to a specific student-centered goal from that lesson that you want to see kind of change throughout this semester, throughout this year, you know,
Right.
to move those students along to where you want them to be. And so if you had to identify a student-focused goal, what would that be, or how would that look?
Gosh, you know, they're attentive in all aspects of the System 44 program, but that basic phonemic awareness. I would like to see students become more proficient. If I had to say one, maybe we take the new Lexile test in December. So
Okay.
by December, students will be able to categorize long and short vowel sounds
Mm-hmm.
at 80% accuracy.
Well, that'd be awesome. No,
I don't know. Should I make it like the whole class at 80%, or should I do students, like how many percentage of students will be at 80%?
Yeah.
I don't know.
You
which
know
one.
your students better than I do, but I almost see that as being kind of more attainable, you know, by some, you know, that you know which ones really, you know, or you're learning, because I know that you're having new students come in every week.
Every week.
And it's
It's like back up
yes,
and start
you're-
again.
So this year's unique in that.
Right.
I know ideally we would have all our students face to face and they would be here and all settled. But yeah, I think definitely the 80% accuracy, but it might be like, you know, 75% of my students meet it at, you know, or say 75% at 80%, and you know, you have 20% maybe at 60% or something, you know.
Okay.
I mean, depending on, you know, maybe your reports that you have, or you know, maybe some peer, like,
Now we can always adjust that goal, right?
oh yes, yes,
So
your
then if
goals
we just
can,
say, if we say the whole class.
okay, so this will
At
be a whole class,
80% by December,
okay,
and then through progress monitoring, if it looks like we're not going to make it, maybe we'll just tweak that goal.
okay, that sounds like a plan. And also, like you had mentioned, you know, you have your data reports from
Every
System
week.
44, which are weekly, but if you can pull in some one-on-one conferencing, if you can, you know, kind of actually watch them, whether
Right.
it be in a computer program, whether it be on their System 44, whether it be on the whiteboard, then you're going to be able to really see more of what they can do. You can do
Exactly.
some one-on-one assessing versus your data reports.
Right.
And so now that we've talked about that, we're going to move into our final criteria, and that's for the teacher to identify a teaching tool or strategy that will help to hit that goal. Now, there are a plethora of strategies and resources out there, but what's something more technology related that we could pull in to emphasize on that technology integration, and also having our kids become more comfortable, because these kids might be the kids that aren't as comfortable being one-on-one with a Chromebook, or being, you know, having that independence to work one-on-one other than playing a game
Mhm.
on an electronic device. What could we maybe do that's something in your classroom that is an expectation of the school system that would also help you and your students? What would be a student-centered, teacher-focused goal that would help you to meet this basic phonemic awareness goal?
Well, you had mentioned the active board. You know, this year, not every teacher, I'm one of the lucky ones that got a new active
Some
board.
would fight you for it.
I know. I got a new active board, and it's more than just a Promethean or a whiteboard. It's a powerful tool. I don't know how to, I mean, it's like cell phones, you know, they're smarter than me.
Mhm.
There are capabilities in that whiteboard that I don't know of yet. So I would like to learn more about what that whiteboard can
Okay.
do. The active board, I know we've got some, experts on campus
Mhm.
that maybe I could spend some time with learning more about it. And if there is a way to pull in lessons through that active board, that students could feel like they're playing a game, by sorting and categorizing, that might be more beneficial
Oh yeah.
to them.
Well,
and
and
then,
it's new technology.
It's new.
They're getting to put their hands on something that they don't normally get to put their hands on.
right.
But it also gives you an opportunity to teach them that responsibility that can kind of be a reward, for those that are staying on task and, doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Right.
So-
And then another thing is the county this year is expecting us to implement and utilize Google Classroom.
Okay.
I know this much about Google Classroom. So if there was some way that I could, I don't know, I'm going to need help on that.
Okay.
If I can push out lessons
Mhm.
to them through Google Classroom.
Through that interface.
And then that would give them something to work on at home.
Mhm.
So those are two things.
Oh gosh, that just brings up the light bulb of maybe that would be some things for
Easy
those
homework.
students. Easy, just
Should
kind
be
of that
easy.
drill and practice that you talked about that you don't really need to use up class time for,
Mhm.
but that you could send through Google Classroom. So it's not only getting you more used to Google Classroom, it's getting the students more used to using it on a regular basis. Plus, it's giving them that reinforcement of those phonetic, concepts that you want them to master
Right.
and demonstrate in your class. So that's kind of threefold.
So now I have 2 pieces of homework.
There you go.
Learn how to use the active board to its full potential and learn
Google
how to do
Classroom.
Google Classroom.
Well, we will definitely work together to find you those resources and definitely have it on my to-do list of some student resources that might help you, which will help us as we move into our next coaching lesson, and the next coaching lesson is the learn portion.
Oh,
so
good.
I think that that's something that we can definitely bring in to this big picture. So
Okay.
overall, I know that you weren't happy with the lesson, but I do feel like it was a good starting point for truly identifying
Right.
that current reality and the goals that we need to look at, and that it's not that, it's hard, it's just what can we do to make your classroom run more smoothly so that you feel that your students are getting everything they need, especially because you're not working with an average 6th through 8th grade group of students. You're
No.
working with those that are
Second graders.
working several grade levels behind.
Right.
So anyway, well, thank you so much.
You're
and I
welcome.
appreciate you letting me coach you.